Hello and welcome to the latest Crescendo Way podcast. I'm Adam Breverton. I'm joined by my co-host Michael Holland, and again we're joined by the fantastic Marine men's first team manager Neil Young. Neil, thank you for joining us again.
No problem at all, mate.
Well, it's been more fantastic scores and results at Marine. We just continue to keep plodding on and getting fantastic crowds in. How's it been for you?
Well, it's been a busy month. I think I've said many times in the press the amount of games. I think we're on to 21, 22 games. We've just got out of October. So a lot of football. As you say, a lot of good results. Crowds have been amazing. Feel good factor around the club. That's the main thing at the moment. Everyone's happy and enjoying the football. Players have been incredible, so far. But in general, yeah, we've had a good start to the season, but, we don't want to get too carried away. We're only just started November. We've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Can I ask you, Neil, just to, obviously the FA Cup run, I'm not going to go through all of them, but the two games I want to talk about is obviously the Aston Coles game. You mentioned in the interview afterwards about you having to change systems quite a lot with their manager because you're a young manager. Is that because you felt at the time his team getting up the upper hand because they changed system, you have to change yours to match, get the initiative kind of thing?
Yeah, I think that's part of management, isn't it? I think, in terms of they'd obviously done a lot of work on us, as we do, on most teams. And every time we changed our shape, they changed to try and counteract that. They'd obviously watched a lot of us. So yeah, it was a tactical battle, as I said at the time in the interview. Not a lot of people might have seen that. Their manager did, obviously, and I did. But yeah, it was a tactical battle. It was a good game. We 2-0 up, missed the chance just before half time. Well, not missed the chance. We hit the bar to probably kill the game off. And they've come out. You've got to give credit to them. They had a right go at us. Got back 1-0. Probably should have got the equaliser earlier. They hit the post, and Bailey's made a couple of good saves. And then he scored a wonder goal in 93rd, 94th minute.
Yeah. And the last one as well is obviously the one talk about Wrexham. Obviously we know how we went, and we probably should have won, and obviously a decision felt we went against our way. But what did you personally take from the two games? I know obviously there've been a lot of disappointment, but as a manager, what did you take from the two games against them?
Obviously a lot of disappointment in terms of the results at home. I thought we were excellent. We nullified them to very little, and how much. From their new ownership, how much they've spent in the summer in terms of recruitments and things. But I thought overall on that day at home, we were outstanding. A decision went against us late on. Lad scored a great goal. And the second tie was always going to be difficult. I think their manager said in the press, that they looked at us and, they wanted to play a different way, and he made 5 or 6 changes. Well, he's got the luxury to be able to do that, to be able to make 5 or 6 changes. And to be able to work on new shape on the Monday when we don't, we're not back until the Tuesday, direct for the game. But even in that game, early, yes, they had a lot more of the football, but early doors, Neil Kenji's had a couple of good runs, a couple of good chances. You scored a goal against Wrexham, a little bit under the cosh a little bit after our results on the Saturday. You never know, it might have changed. But the most pleasing thing for me is that we had the down on the Saturday, we put in a good performance on the Tuesday. But the lads again have bounced back and got results from after that game.
I'm sure as well a lot of people want to know how Bailey passing after Wrexham as well. I think everyone touched. It was quite heartbreaking to see him look so despondent for something that was beyond his control.
I think everyone was despondent in a way. Obviously, the ball's a free kick and Bailey's got 2 hands, so he said he slipped, which has lost his momentum a little bit to be able to push the ball away. But that's a goalkeeper, isn't it? Normally, you're either the hero, the saviour, or, people are pointing the finger. I don't think anyone pointed the finger. I don't think he done anything wrong. He got 2 hands to it. I think you just got to clap the lad who took the free kick. It's a great free kick. Could we have learned from it? Maybe put another man in the wall, but we're talking 95th, 96th minute here. I mean, Paul Mullen, I think, already said in one of his interviews that he was going to clip it back post. They were a massive side, and we caught him between 2 stools, really. If he does go back post, you don't want to be overdone in terms of height, or he goes for the free kick. Maybe once he chose the free kick, we could maybe get somebody else on the ball. But it's all hypothetical now. The lads took a great free kick, scored, and we move on.
Yeah. And that's as you touched on there, you know, it happened in front of us and we saw Bailey got his hand to it. It's one of them. Sometimes it was a great free kick. It was just so horrible to see like the weight of the world on his shoulders afterwards. And as you say, he's been the hero so many times for us. And the crowd, I think the crowd made sure he knew that as well going off.
Yeah, he's done well. You know, Bailey's done really well. Listen, got to remember, there's a lot of these lads are young lads. You know, still learning and played in some real big games, particularly over the last 2 seasons in the FA Cup, a little bit in the FA Trophy. But that's what it's about. It's about exposure for them. It's about experiences for them. It's about learning, and it's learning for us all. And to come away from Wrexham disappointed. People might, we're talking National League club that's spending hundreds of thousands of pounds in some instances on players and wages and etc. And good luck to them, but we're disappointed coming away only drawing with Wrexham, which says a lot about our group.
Yeah.
Just want to touch on Neil Kenge's progression, since he's joined us. I mean, a lot of teams are playing now that they're scared of him. How have you seen his progression? Because he improved tenfold for me. His work rate's unbelievable. How do you see his progression, basically? I
think work rate is what the team's about. I think everybody knows the role in terms of the work rate and the effort they have to put in. And midfield-wise, probably the toughest position to play in my team or our team, because we do ask them to do a lot of running, a lot of closing down. To allow Neil, the likes of Neil at the top end of the pitch, to be able to go and cause problems. As you say, he's come on a lot in very short space of time. Again, a young player, identified, lots of pace, lots of energy. Key thing is great attitude. If you've got a great attitude and you want to learn, and you're willing to put the time in, you'll always improve. And Neil Kenji, along with all our young players, I think you've seen steady improvement from them all. We just talked about one there, Bailey Passance. He's one who's improved measurably since he came into the club. Doyley's improving all the time. Mark, Josh Solomon, Kyle. We've got lots of young players who continually improve. That's the way we work. That's what we hope will happen. And hopefully the long-term objective, obviously not just yet, but the long-term objective is these lads to go and play in the Football League.
I think it's fair to say as well that the quality is there, and Marine's a fantastic training ground essentially to learn your trades. It's a competitive but supportive environment. Touching on that as well, the fact that we lost Miley and then we've lost Joyce and then Haid and Shaw have come in, and you would never even know that we were missing players with some of these performances. How happy have you been?
As I say, all the credit so far has got to go to the players. It doesn't matter who's come in, who's played. You just go on with it. Go back to Saturday, South Shields. Barrigan and Doyley have been the two main midfield players in most games this season in terms of minutes and fitness. Neither of them available to us. Lynchy comes in, no problem, getting back up to fitness. Jay Devine, who was ill as well, but wanted to play and get through the game. To go and beat South Shields is a measure. I always use measures, and I go back to when we first came in. South Shields, Warrington, them two teams in particular, absolutely footballed us off the pitch when I first arrived at the club. They beat us, I think, 2 and 3s and maybe 3s and 4s in South Shields' case. And now we're going toe-to-toe with them. We beat 1-3-0, and we've beat another who've progressed massively, obviously, into a full-time environment. We beat another on penalties. So I think that says a lot about where we are as a football club and where we're going as a football club. Going back to your original question about players, I mean, the key is giving them a shop window. I like players who are with us. We're giving them a shop window to play. We're putting them in massive games of football. Your Wrexham, your Colchesters last year, Havant, Tottenham's. So Marine Football Club is all set up for people to come and play, do well, and then move on to bigger and better things. But bigger and better things isn't a league up or 2 leagues up. It's about staying and making sure, we give you an environment, to be able to do well. We'll put you on the platform to do well. The rest up to the players ultimately. But yeah, we've got a lot of good young players who've done really well. But, and it's a massive but, we're only, 10, 12 weeks into the season. So let's not get carried away. We've got a lot of work to do before we get where we want to be.
Yeah, just want to touch on obviously Watkinson getting new contract. I think he's been brilliant. Was that important for you to get him tied down to a contract?
Well, you always want to keep your best young players if you can. As I just touched on there, I think there's no better place at the moment than Marine for young players to come and play the football and progress. We're in the headlines a lot. You know, we've done, as you say, we've had great cup runs in the FA Cup over the last 2 years. We're on a little bit of a run now in the FA Trophy. You know, people are talking about us. League clubs are watching us. You know, it's a great place for young lads to come and play the football. We want to keep the best young lads we can, you know, whenever we can. Owen came in. You know, we talked to him in the summer about coming in, and if he done well, then he'd be rewarded, you know, for that. And that's what I've done. I've stuck to my word. I think we speak to the lads. You know, I'll back them 100% and I stick to my word 100%. You know, when Owen was said in the summer when he came in that if he came and done well for me, you know, he'd be looked after.
He's been absolutely fantastic. I think everyone, a player that we were talking about before as well was Wignall as well. It's been absolutely brilliant last couple of weeks. It really has. And between when you're coming up with a team, is he a player that you're looking at as going into various positions within a formation, or do you see him staying as like a centre forward?
Ryan's had a great pre-season. And he's done fabulously well since he's got in the team. Two positions really for me. Wiggy is either wide in the front three, or I think he does his best work, or he has done his best work this season in a 10. So 2 in midfield and him the advanced one in a 4-3-3. He's the second leading goal scorer at the club at this moment in time. I think he's got 6 goals. You know, which is great credit to him. He's made numerous assists as well. I'm not sure of that number, but you know, he has made assists as well. So he's in real good form, doing really well, training really well. And I've said before, you know, if you get your head down and work hard and you're good at your trade, you'll always get the rewards. And I think that's what we're seeing from Ryan.
Yeah, just want to touch on something else. Obviously, you've seen a couple of under-23s in there.
Yeah.
On the bench. Have you made of the under-23s so far?
Well, we made a conscious decision in the summer. I spoke to James Leary quite a bit about the name changing from a reserve to an under-23s and how we wanted to do it and how it was going to work. Glyn obviously came back, and we decided that obviously we've got older age players to add some competition and some experience to the team, but it was key that we tried to find some young players. And it's difficult. It is difficult because of the levels that we could potentially come in and play and hopefully come in with the first team. Now, the two currently, you know, I've got real high hopes for Alex McNally. You know, he's 17 years of age. He's big. He's strong. He's a talker. I think he's got a right chance. The only thing at the moment, obviously, we need to get games into these young players, which we're looking at also. Maybe second forms. We've got Matty Chan, who we've seen a little bit of, and we want to see more of. You know, so they're the two key ones at the minute. And what we're trying to do with the other under-23s, which is key, is integrate them within the training of the first team to give them a taste. But there's got to be a pathway, you know, for these players. But it's also got to be a pathway. It's got to be realistic. Can't just be token gestures. You know, you've got to earn the right to step up and go in the squad. And the boys who've come in so far have done that. I think they'll admit the training, you know, has really helped them. It's demanding. You know, the lads, there's no the training is as intense as a game, particularly on a Thursday night. But the 23s, I think this year, and I think the league position says it, you know, has been a revelation. We've just got to carry on with that progression and help, you know, Glyn entice more players from externally, with a view of obviously playing for the under-23s, but also a chance of playing for Marine, particularly young players.
I think we're seeing that as well, aren't we, with the women's side as well, and they've just announced a new sponsorship as well. So I think we're seeing it across the board. Is it fair to say?
I think the club's moving, you know, in the right direction. You know, I think it's probably moving a little bit faster than what we expected. which is usually based around results on the football pitch. Will that be with us? Will that be from the 23s? Will that be with the women's side? You know, results, momentum, builds good feeling, you know, and wants people to get involved. We know as the first team, men's team, that we're the spearhead of that. You know, we have to try and lead the way to get the good feelings around the place. That's what we're hopefully doing. And on the back of that, the 23s are doing well. The women's team, if you look how quick they've moved on in the last 12, 18 months, they've had COVID as well, you know, and that's not just done by luck. You know, that's a lot of hard work from people, you know, volunteer-led in the main, well, volunteer-led full stop, you know, so to show that, to be able to show how much involvement and enthusiasm to want to do well, to improve them, you know, it's great credit to everyone that has been involved and is involved.
Speaking of hard work as well, this was a fantastic stat that Michael found. So in the 79 games in all competitions that you've been manager, you've won 52, drew 11, and lost just 16, giving you a win percentage of 72%. That's your win percentage, 72%. So when we talk about hard work and where you've come from with your previous roles to come into Marine and everything that's gone on behind the scenes, do you think, is it also a case of like the stars aligning that you've come in at the right time? You have been the right man at the right time in the right set of circumstances to get that percentage. Is not by accident.
I don't know. It's a right set of circumstances. I've always believed in myself and what I do. You know, I've said before, I think that my previous best results were at Chester Football Club, which in terms of what I was allowed to do in terms of the managing and the philosophy and building the strategy and the structure is probably as close as Marine is. So it's, you know, from taking over obviously halfway through one season, but then following on from that, to be able to build a strategy and structure and people to trust you to do that, will that be around recruitment or just improving everything from the football side? It's as close as Chester as it could get, you know, in terms of hands-on approach, not left alone, but, you know, in the main, being allowed to put your own stamp on how you do it and having that trust from people and the committee to be allowed to do that. Again, similar to Chester, if you look at me, Chester, I think it was 65, 66% at those levels, which, you know, is great credit. But I keep saying that although I'm the manager, I've got to, you know, you've seen it in the last two games. Alan, you know, I've done a lot of work behind the scenes, or, you know, from an analysis perspective, but Alan's picked the team. Alan's gone out and, you know, and got the two results. So I'm only as good as the people around me. You know, I've got my own skill set, but without everyone else's skill sets, I ain't getting 72% or 60 odd percent at Chester or whatever. You know, you've got to have a team of people around you. You've got to have the trust of a board or a committee, you know, to allow you to go forward with what you do. But more importantly, you've got to have players who can carry out what you're trying to do, because without them, you know, there's no 72%, there's no cup runs, there's no promotions. So, yeah, it's great numbers. And I'm at the front of that. And I know as a manager, if they weren't like that and they were the other way, I'd be the one that was getting the stick. But, and the big but is, a manager is only as good as his players and his staff. And that's me as well, you know. I work hard. I believe in working hard. I believe in trying to be the best version of you can be. So I know what I put in, but I also know how much my staff and my players put in to be able to achieve the numbers that we are all achieving together.
Yeah, just to touch on one thing, I'll just reveal some teams' names that we beat. Got Brackley, Nantwich, Chester, Colchester, Havant, South Shields, Warrington, Afton, Staleybridge and Hyde, just all teams higher than us. How do you think of being able to like beat teams that are, you know, at a high level? And every team we played, we've never looked out of place, even the Football League teams.
It's quite funny actually, because people have talked about in the past about me managing at this level or that level, and people saying you're out of your depth and all that. Well, you know, you just reeled off 10 teams there. I think that all above us, as you say. Again, you've got, when you're playing teams from a high level, well, you're playing any team, you've got to do your homework, you know, and we always do our homework. We always work hard at trying to nullify the opposition. I think you've probably seen that on Saturday against South Shield, without being fantastic going the other way, but doing enough. you have to put the work rate in. You have to put the time in to be successful. Whatever you do, you might nick a win here and there. You know, you might get lucky here and there, but you certainly won't nick a promotion, and you certainly won't nick a long cup run. That's done by hard work, and it's about making sure that when you do have your setbacks, you keep believing in what you're doing. You know, you might tweak what you're doing. You're learning all the time. I've been in this now from when I started over 20 years. I've had great times. I've had real bad low times. But I'm still learning. I learned so much from last year's cup run, you know, and I'm still learning now. And while I keep learning, am I able to help the players improve? That's the key bit. The staff improve, you know, in terms of what they do. And together, hopefully, we can carry on getting results. That's the key thing. But I must stress, it's very early days. We've got a lot of work to do.
We did get a message off Mex asking about a pay rise. Is that doable?
Who's Mex? Who's Mex again? See the fellow who brings the piss?
I suppose if you don't ask, you don't get. I think we can say it's a no pay rise for Mex.
He's a good lad. He's a good lad, Mex. Yeah, good lad. But he's not getting a pay rise, no.
No. How happy have you been? Obviously, since you've catching COVID, with Alan taking on, Ian Johnson stepped in as well to help out the other week. How happy have you been with that?
It's been like the team for me. You know, I look at my team and it doesn't matter who you put in and who you put out. You know, they go out and put a performance in. Alan's been here a long time, works very hard, goes under the radar a lot of the time. I know how much the players appreciate him because of what he does from a coaching perspective. You know, he's done a fantastic job. It's not easy, you know, when you're coaching lads and you're managing them as well, particularly when the games are coming so thick and fast and the manager's not there. You know, and a big shout out to Jono. Obviously, I keep in touch with Jono, and I have done since he left the football club. You know, and you know, a massive thank you to him. You know, to help Alan. You know, Alan asked me when we had the discussion when I couldn't be there, and we straight on to Jono straight away. He's come in. I know he's really enjoyed it, and you know, we're on the back of 2 victories, so he goes away with 100%. It's not bad, is it? Beats my 72.
Just want to touch on obviously the goals this season. Obviously the season that got curtailed because of COVID, it was mainly Cummins, wasn't he, who scoring the goals? But this season, you know, you got Kengi with 7, you got Cummins with 5, Wignall with 6, Watkinson with 3, Riley with 2. I think Barragan's got 4 as well, hasn't he? Is that being something you wanted to do, like more goals all around the pitch instead of just one player kind of thing?
More goals helps. It's not been planned that way, if I'm honest. I know we keep linking back to Chester, but when we won the Conference North at Chester, our leading goal scorer was actually our central midfield player, Anthony Sarcevic. I think he had 15 goals. And then we had Nathan Jarman, I think, with 15 goals, and Matty McGinn scored goals. George Horton, the centre-back, scored goals. And I think we scored over 100 goals that season. So if goals are coming from everywhere, as you say, you're not very reliant on one person. If you go back to when I first arrived, and we couldn't score a goal, or we couldn't score goals for love and money, and we brought Niall in, and Niall got his goals. I think he went on a run of something like 8 wins in 9 games or something, and he scored lots of goals for us. And then he broke his ankle at Hensford, and then, you know, we capitulated because we didn't have a goal scorer. That's the other side of it. If you, going back to your point, if you haven't got them goals within your team, hence the reason why this season we made a conscious decision at the top end of the pitch, you know, to really recruit. And obviously we brought in Owen, obviously Neil was here, Lewis Riley's come in, scored goals. Yeah. Great, you know, great in pressure situations. As you say, Owen Watkinson, Kenji. We've got plenty of options at the top end of the pitch, you know, to get us goals if we need one.
So going forward then, how are we in terms of players coming back? We've obviously seen Lynchy getting back up to speed. We know we've lost Mile and we've lost Germano for a long time. We got Harvey Patton come in as well. Truthfully, I've not seen anything of Harvey. So where does he stack up against his brother?
Well, he's obviously he's still learning the game, you know. But it's like anything else. It's about learning. We're giving him good coaching. We've got Scott Tynan and doing doing the goalkeeper coaching. You know, I think Bailey will credit him with a lot of his improvements. But you see them in training, they're working well. Gives Harvey a great opportunity to come in training with the lads, come in with Scott, come in with his brother, and learn. It's about learning. He's obviously younger, and he's, you know, Bailey. But look how much Bailey's moved on in 2 years, 18 months. How much has Bailey improved? I say it all the time. Very rarely I'll go for a young goalkeeper as my number one, unless I think a lot of them. And Bailey Passon, for me, he's got a right chance, but he's got to keep improving. He's got to keep his head down. Got to keep working, and he's got a right chance.
Yeah. Obviously the draw got done today. I'll please die with it being at home, although it will be a tough game against Dunstan, but you know, the international break, so expecting probably over 1,000 again. So I'll please die with that draw. Well,
I think we play Dunstan now, I think, every year in some sort of cup draw since I've been here. I'm pretty sure we've had them in the FA Cup, the FA Trophy. Yeah. I did say actually on the staff group chat that I bet we get Dunstan. I said away, but we've already been there this year. Dunstan, good club, good people. As you say, it's a tough game, but I'm just glad it's at home, if I'm honest. It's a long way, Dunstan, on a Saturday. But it's a home draw. We've got 2 games before then. We've got to try and get 6 points from. And then we'll put all our efforts into concentrating to see where Dunstan are currently at. We'll probably get footage from their game on Saturday against Bamber Bridge if we can. And we'll take it from there. But yeah, it's a home draw. And at this stage of the competition, that's all you can ask for.
Speaking of games coming up before then, will we see you back in the dugout tomorrow?
Yeah, Trafford, yeah, tomorrow, yeah. But all being well, and the rain hasn't done too much. I don't know what it's been like in Liverpool, but on the Whittle, the rain's been torrential all day.
Yeah.
So yeah, so hopefully, pitch being okay, yeah, I'll be back tomorrow, and then looking forward to seeing the lads again.
Great to hear.
The last one, obviously, you know, since we got beat by Clitheroe, we've been on a great form. I think the only defeat we've had against is Wrexham, isn't it? How pleased have you been since that defeat? Obviously, it's important to bounce back when you do have a loss, isn't it?
It's always important to come back after defeats. That wasn't a great defeat in terms of discipline, very indisciplined performance, not just from the players, from the staff as well. You know, referee was poor on the day, but you know, I think we need to look at ourselves. We did look at ourselves after that game. We talked a lot about discipline and keeping our heads. We would be a scalp in a lot of places, but as you say, you've got to move on from defeats very quickly, and that's what I've been very impressed with this team, is that we, you know, they come back from that and they go on a winning run, and you know, no more so than Wrexham to lose a game of that magnitude in the 95th, 96th minute. It's a wonderful free kick, but a free kick that should never have been given, and then go out, but then bounce back with victories, you know, has been incredible. But I think the overarching bit for me is the feel-good factor around the club. You know, the fans and the attendances we've had have been incredible, you know, and I was obviously being at home last Saturday against Coles and South Shields. The most pleasing thing for me is, and I was speaking to James Leary about this, is the amount of pictures you see of young people coming into the club, enjoying themselves. You listen to different stories. People have got a different story and how much they enjoyed it, and they met the goalkeeper Bailey, or they met so-and-so, or, you know, all feel-good stories that hopefully will build and build and build and bring young people and parents and grandparents. I've seen a photograph there of a family at that. I think it was 2 brothers and a dad who hadn't been to the game together for over 40 years had come to the game. You know, stories like that, I always say, I don't want to bore you, but I always say from a managerial perspective, I get more joy out of putting joy on other people's faces than I do from myself from winning games. You know, I enjoy winning football matches because that's your job. But I've always got more satisfaction about seeing people happy and enjoying them and going away from the ground and having a good weekend with the team happy. And to see all that, faces of so many young supporters, young and old supporters, and listening to different stories, makes you happy, you know, that you're managing and you're part of something so good at the moment.
Just touch on that as well. Obviously, when you joined, you know yourself, don't you? We were getting like 200 or 300 people and that. Does it give you pride now that you've been in charge, where we've gone from £200, £300. The facilities have obviously been improved massively, and now we're getting these big crowds and all that.
I'm more proud of what we've done to get there. It's not like we flipped the switch and suddenly we're suddenly a good team and we've suddenly, can get crowds. And it's been a lot of hard work. There's been, I said at the start, around the strategy that I've been allowed to build on the football side. The club have given me, the freedom to be allowed to not dictate the wrong word, but bring together my vision of where we should be and how we should be going forward. And doing that is obviously football. And football growth is usually about winning football matches. People want to be involved with success. I remember, again, going back to Chester, we had less crowds in the National League and we had on our third promotion than we did in the league that we're currently in, because people want to be linked to success, but then they want to buy it. Then on the back of the success, you've got to have momentum. And then on the back of that, you've got to have the feel-good factor in facilities, as you talked about, the upgrade to the facilities, the feel-good factor, the togetherness of the players, the committee, the supporters, all together as one. And that helps not only bring people in to watch the game, it also helps players. People want to be linked to that. I don't do social media, but off social media how many people are talking about Marine and what Marine are doing and how the facilities have improved. And on the back of that, and you win in football matches, it's just a very good recipe at the moment. But we've got to drive that home. We've got to keep going. You can't get complacent. The minute you get complacent, the minute you stop doing things correctly, is the minute you start to nosedive. And we all know in football, the good times are really good, but the low times are lower than low. And we've got to make sure the good times stay here for as long as we possibly can.
So, if to round up, then, is there anything you want to say directly to the supporters?
Just a massive thank you from me, and all the players, in terms of the support we've had. The numbers have been incredible. Nearly 2,000 Wrexham, Liverpool last week, 1,311 was it? And the numbers have been incredible. We'll keep doing our best, for the team, as a team. Sorry for the supporters, but come if you haven't been to Marine yet, and you're looking at a local team, come watch us, see what we're about, see what the football club's about, see what the work that's being done in the community is about. Look at our new facilities. Them facilities are going to keep improving. We're moving that on, and we'll be moving on again in the summer. But personal for me is a massive shout out to the supporters who have been, turning up week in, week out, and hopefully that'll continue.
Brilliant. Next game up is Trafford. You're confident that there's going to be 3 points from that?
Well, we're always confident. You've always got to go into a game, winning. Trafford are a good side, top 5 side now. Danny's done wonders there in terms of their performances. You only have to look at the results that they've had. It's a very difficult game. They've always given us a difficult game. He beat us before COVID. He beat us at home, I think, last minute. He beat us away late on. So, we've got a tough game in our hands, but we're confident going into it. We'll do all we can to get the 3 points.
That's brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your time this evening. It is appreciated.
No problem.
It's great to see you on the mend as well, following COVID as well. Really good to see you looking healthy.
Cheers, guys, as I start coughing.
Thank you very much.
All right. Cheers, guys. Thank you.